Hello and welcome to my channel Making Crafts. So today I am getting started on the boho journal, and I know I'd mentioned this earlier at the beginning of May. I do not know where the month of May has went, so we're going to get started on it today. So I've gone ahead and I have chosen the papers that I'm going to use, and so I printed the kit on the first page. I always like to have cardstock, so I've printed that on cardstock, and the kit pages I've printed on front and back, and then I've added in some scrapbook paper. This is old scrapbook paper that I had in my stash from years ago. And then I've added in like a little memo paper, and then you've got your digitals as well. And I've just chose which one of the digitals that I wanted to use. And then I have the scrapbook paper that has the back, white back. And I know sometimes when you print, some people don't print on both sides. They print just the front side of their digitals as well. So I wanted to show you today some ideas of ways to decorate up the back white sides of your pages. So we're going to start out first with a very simple way, and we're going to stencil. So I just want to pull out this one page first, and I've kind of gone ahead and arranged my pages how I want them, and it may change, but since I have that, I want to kind of match whatever I put on this side. I want to kind of match this side as in colors. It doesn't have to match as in design, but in colors. And so I have this Ciao stencil that I received from the Rubber Buggy, and this one is Prestige, and so I'm going to be using it in my journal today. And then I have some Pinkfresh inks that I also received from the Rubber Buggy that I'm going to be using. And let me set this aside. So I'm just going to stencil randomly on the page. And so since I have the page next to it's going to have like some greenish turquoise colors, I want to use those colors on my stencil. So I'm going to start out first with the lighter Ocean Breeze and just start rubbing some of it in. And let's see, I want to put different colors in. This one is Mermaid Cove. It's a lot darker. Just kind of having the, oops, I don't want to slide it yet. And I'm going to pull in another sponge so I can not mix my colors up. And I'm going to bring in some, I think this Fresh Pear as well. So I'm just mixing the colors on my page just to kind of get a different look instead of just one color of stencil. And I'm just rubbing it random. I'm not going to fill in the whole stencil. Kind of blending them in. So that's very pretty. So I just want to add some on the other side. So let's get some more of the pear and just add that in. And then we'll get our blues. And I'm not matching on the pages where the stamping, well, not the stamping, but where the stenciling is going. I'm just putting it randomly across the page so that it's not a uniform pattern. So let's go through first and we'll just stencil the pages, and then we're going to come back with the pages and we'll add more decoration to them. So I'm just going to put it back in the book where it goes, and then I'm going to come back because we're not going to just leave it like this. We're going to do more to it. So now let's go ahead and get this one out so we can see here still the same colors. I'm just going to stencil it up. So I love how this looks, so I'm just going to come in. I think I want to add some stamping to some of this. So I'm going to use this Exquisite Stamp Set from Tim Holtz, the Stamper Anonymous. I'm going to use just the little font stamp first. Let's see if I'm going to add, and I'm not going to stamp it with brown or black like I normally do. I'm going to come in with one of these colors so it kind of blends in. Let's see, what color do I want to add in? I'm thinking one of the blues, so maybe we use the aquamarine. We just come in and stamp some. And so this one I don't want to have a perfect stamping, so I'm just going to add ink to it, and then I'm just going to not put it on a block but just use my fingers to stamp it randomly on the page. There we go. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I think that looks good. So see, we can dress up these pages just by adding stencils and stamps And so a lot of times if you don't want to print on both sides, I know it's hard with some printers to think about how to run them through that way, then you can always just decorate the back side up. Now what do we want to add? Do we want to add anything else to this page? I do have this stamp right here set from I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm thinking about adding to this journal, but I don't know if I want to put it on this page or not. What if we keep with the Exquisite stamp and we add in the flower from it? And I'm thinking that I'm going to do random. I don't want to do, well, maybe I'll put it on the block. I'm thinking let's put it on the block. And then I'm just going to do a light color on it. So maybe the, we got the stamping there of the darker. How about the really light green, the fresh pear? And let's see what that looks like. Covering the stamp. But it doesn't have to be a perfect stamping, so I'm not really concerned. I'm just wanting some of the flowers on here. And I do like that. And then maybe just a little bit, maybe I could come back with just a little bit more. It is harder to ink these stamps with the smaller blocks, but I like having these smaller blocks of ink so that I can have a big variety of samples. Okay, so I have, let me take this page that we've done as well, and I'm just going to let the edge stamp off on it some, just to have a little bit of the flower on it as well. So just do it like this. Then we have some random stamping throughout. So I think I like this one the way it is. If you see, when you have it in the book, you're not going to see that the stamp, you have part of the stamp on this side and then part on the other side. I think we do need some on the edge of this one. Let me get my, just going to add a little bit down here on the edge. Just very faintly there. Okay, so that is our first one, and then we had this one here, and we need something to decorate it up a bit more, so let's take it out. And what do we want to add to it? What if we do add this stamp to it? Let's try doing the feathers across the top. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some, let me show you, let me get back on, I'm working too far down. So I'm going to add just a little bit of the aquamarine on one side, and then on the other side I'm going to add some of the Mermaid Cove. So it's going to be two different colors on it, but I think that's going to be pretty. So then we'll just stamp that across the top here. And that's pretty. And I'll do that again. You know, this was a brand new stamp. I probably should have stamped it off on a piece of scrap paper first, because it seems to make them, you have to use them a couple of times before, there we go. Now I'm not sure that I like that they were uneven. I was having a hard time seeing that. So let's just add, let's add a little bit of stenciling over that. See if we can cover that up a little bit so it doesn't stand out so much. There we go. I think that kind of makes it blend in a little bit better. We can always add something else to the page if it bothers us. I could come in with a little bit of font as well. And I'll do that in the key lime. So I don't know where the month, like I said, of May went. I really had high hopes of having this done early in the month, but somehow time got away from me. So I am now finally working on it at the end of the month. But I've been looking forward to working on this one, and I already have created the cover. I was going to create the cover on camera, but I've never made a cover like this before, and so I just had to create it on my own so I could kind of go through the process and figure out how to do everything that I wanted to do. So I will show you the cover. I'm not totally finished with the cover, so there is a few things we can do together when we do finish the cover and finish this up. I will do part of it with you all. So I'm just going to take a little bit of brown ground espresso, and I'm just going to go around my edges here and kind of just ink it up a little to age it. But I'm not going to be like, so I'm just going to blend out. I'm not going to do every spot. I'm just going to go around and just make it look a little grungy in spots. Maybe down the spine here. And let's see, maybe around the edges over here. Kind of makes everything blend together that way, kind of so that no one thing is sticking out to be the focal point. I kind of just want it all to be a background. And I think I'm going to come in here with one of these feathers. And let me see. So what I'm thinking is where these disconnect, what if I took the feather and just put it right in there? Let's see if that helps any. Because it is bothering me. But it's not bothering me enough to not use the page, but it does bother me a little bit. So I'm thinking if I just bring a feather in here, it'll pull the two together. And then I need to put a little bit of, you know, ink over it and kind of dull it out. So I like that. So that is our next page. So let's see, we have this one. I think this is the last one. So what do we want to do with it? So for this one, I'm just going to come in with a little bit of wording around the edges, and I'm not going to do a lot to this page. That way you have plenty of journaling spot left on the page. So I'm just going to come along the edge here. And you can see that I am adding ink. Well, I guess you can't because I was too far down. So I'm adding ink to different parts of the stamp so that, and then I'm just holding it up because I don't want all the same text on there. And really, you can't read this text, but it'll all look the same if you don't move it around some. So there I'm just going to frame out the page with it. A little bit there, and then we'll just put a little bit down on the bottom. It kind of makes a frame for the page. There we go. So now for the back side, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to frame out the page. So I'm just going to start by stamping a little bit and moving my stamp along so I can get different parts of the stamp on there. We don't want anything to be the same thing over and over. Okay. Because then you would start noticing that it was, and it would be distracting. There we go. There we go. So I like that. So now we can add that one to our book. It's a very simple way to decorate up our pages. And I really like this stencil and the way the stamping looks together. I was going to add some water and some different other techniques to it, but I'm really liking how it looks, so I think that I'm just going to leave it like that and not really add a lot more to the pages. Okay, so now I'm going to leave the stenciling for a bit. You know, sometimes I will come back and change my mind. I want to add more or something, but I was thinking that I was add water and add some more mixed media type things to it. But for now, I really like how it looks, so I'm just going to leave it. And so I'm just going to keep working on the pages. And so I'm going to see about some of this fabric that I have for the cover, if it would work as tabs for some of the pages. So I'm just going to go through and see what page I think it would work on, and then I got to trim it up, make it a little straighter than it was. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm just going to fold it over and sew it on as a tab. And I'm trying to decide, I think I want to sew it just wrapped around it instead of just on one side. So I think that's what I'll do. So I'm going to put that one there. So we'll just cut off a bunch of tabs, and then we will take it to the sewing machine. So I've got, okay, so I'm getting ready to sew them. So what I did was, once I decided where I wanted my tabs, what pages, I've just gone through and I have paper clipped them in. Now they're not in the place that they need to be for when I sew them. Let me get this mat straightened up here. So they're not where they need to be for when I sew them, but they're at the space on the page that need to be. They are scrunched in more, and I'll pull them out more so that they hang out more once I go to sew them. But for now, I've just got them on the pages that I want them, and you know, whereabouts on the page that I want. And I'll adjust it as I get to sewing. It's tabs. And I went ahead and sewed this one, and then I realized my camera was off, so I want to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to not just make them tabs finally, I'm going to add some bits and pieces. So I have this little thing here that I put all my bits and pieces in, my scraps that I want to use. It's just like a little, it looks cute on my station, but it's just like one of those ornaments that you can make your own ornament. I just stuff it when I find bits and pieces laying on my craft table. I just stuff it in there, what's left over. So I thought it would be fun to go through and use some of those bits and pieces on the tab. So this one I've just put some jute and a piece of lace, and then the tab. So I have a tab here that I wanted to put on. So I think I'm going to go ahead. I was just going to paper clip them on, and when I got to the sewing machine, I would fix it, you know, fix any issues that I had and where I wanted it. But I think I'm just going to tack it on lightly with some Fabri-Tac so that it doesn't move on me, and I can decorate the clusters up on it a little bit better. So that way it might make things a little easier. So I'll just do this side first, and then I'll flip it over. Because I'm not going to use the glue to hold it though, but you could put enough glue that you was going to use the glue to hold your tabs on. But I'm going to just tack them on, and I'm off camera all day today. Let's see. And then I will come back and add some stuff on top as clusters, and then we'll sew over that. So let's see here. I do want a little bit more sticking out there. So then I was thinking, I had some bits and pieces left over of like these little pom-poms. I wonder if I added those onto this lace, how that would look. And so I could just sew that on, but maybe something underneath that. I'm not sure though. It may be fine with just the pom-poms, or I have some more lace, or we could put these little flowers. That would be pretty. Let's just add the 2 flowers. Oops, this glue is trying to really come out of the bottle. There we go, it had a bubble. Because I don't want a lot of glue on it, like I said, because I'm going to sew it in just a few minutes. And so I don't want to have to wait for it to dry and be safe to sew. I don't want to gum my needle up too much. So that's cute for that side. And then this side, maybe we do add the pom-poms. I do wish they were closer together, because see how they're spread apart? So I'm wondering if I can just bunch it up on here with some glue and then sew it. So I'm just running along my glue there, and then just sticking it on here. And that will have just a little bit of more interest onto the tab. So then let's go through here. And each paper clip is a tab. So this one I wasn't going to sew on, wasn't going to wrap it around the front and the back. So I'm just going to have it on one side. So it needs a little bit of something on it. So I'm thinking maybe a piece of this scrap lace would look good. And so we're really just making fabric clusters and then just adding them to our tabs. And what else should we put there? Let me see. With another flower. No, that's not what I want. Just see what's in this little bin here. Here's a little piece of leftover ribbon. Like I said, I save everything. And so I think that'll be cute like that. I just, like I said, when I'm cleaning off my desk, I just take these things and stuff them in. Well, I had a box I was stuffing them in, but then I decided the other day that I think I would use them more if I just had them out. So I found this little ornament that I bought to make at Christmas time, and I never used it. So I thought it would be perfect to put my scraps in. So we'll put that there, and then we'll do a zigzag stitch. And I'm wondering, so I don't forget, should I go ahead and, well, I gotta let the glue dry. So let me just take, and now I'll paper clip it back there, just so we know what goes there. I'm afraid I'll forget what pages they're on. So then here's another one. This is just a gold piece of fabric, and I want to tack it on just a little bit, and then we're going to decorate it up too, make a little cluster out of it. Trying not to add a lot of glue, so that's why I'm just trying to be really gentle with the glue and not put a lot on there. And the zigzag, I'm going to put a zigzag stitch just to add a little bit more to the design as well. This pink would match that little pink up there. What if we just added that? And then, let's see, here's some little flowers. That would be cool. So I'm just going to put those right in there. And make my little cluster. So now if you are not going to sew yours and you're going to glue yours only, just be sure to add more glue than I'm adding, because I don't know that this would hold. Let's see, do I want it like that? I'm not sure that it would hold up with just a little bit that I'm adding if I wasn't sewing it all together. There we go. And I might come back once I stitch it. I'll see what it looks like. I may trim some of that off. And let's see what the back side looks like. It's a little plain. We might want to add just a little something on it as well. I'll definitely have to glue it pretty good because I'm not going to be able to see the front and back when I'm stitching. And so I'll have to glue it down pretty good so that, because when I'm stitching I can see the pieces and make sure they're in place. But on the back side I won't be able to. So I'm going to see if I can put enough glue to hold it down. I'm hoping this doesn't gum up my needle, but if so, I'll have to get a different needle out. We can still come back and glue things like paper items on top of it as well if we wanted to. So we have this one here. So I'm just going to tack it down and then decorate it up as well. All of the clusters do not have to be full of different items. It's just having a little something on them, I think, decorates them up. So I really like how the tabs turned out. I did go through and sew on some of my pages, and I need to trim the threads, but this one's going to have a lot of little small threads like that hanging because that's just the look I'm going for. But I do like how the tabs turned out. I did realize that I needed to add one more tab. When you hold your book like this, you can kind of see if it's missing something. When I had these 3 here, I needed 3 more just to kind of balance it out. So I did add that tab there with some more of the little pom-poms, and so I just used some of the pleated, what am I trying to say, some of the ruffle fabric that I had left over, and I was just using scraps for this part. And like I said, I was using the scraps, most of the scraps are left over from the cover, and so then I've just gone through it, and I do like how that one looks, and I added more sewing there. And so I'm trying to just decide what all I want to sew on my journal, or like the stenciling. Oh, and I did sew these pockets shut. But I'm just trying to figure it out before I actually add it to, you know, actually sew the journal together. I want to make sure that I've done all my sewing and everything like that I want to do before I sew it together. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything else that I want to add. And so there's another one. I just sewed that pocket shut. And so there you can see the tabs. And I like the tabs. I like the clusters of, oops, I had it off screen. I like the clusters of adding, and for some reason I really like adding that jute down the middle with the zigzag stitch. So that is my journal pages. They are about ready to go and be sewn in, but I'm going to set that aside now, and I'm going to work on the ephemera. So be sure to check out my next video where we will be creating the ephemera, pockets, different things like that, tags and different things for this journal. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.